My name is Lauren Carr, and I'm the Director of Education, Engagement, and Inclusion at Ensemble Theater Cincinnati. And welcome to ETC's Meet the Artist. Each week, we are so lucky to have on as our guest an artist that we hold near and dear to our hearts as part of our ETC family. And tonight is no different. Tonight, we are so excited. I am so excited to have on a beautiful human inside and out, actor and director, Torie Wiggins. Hey, Torie.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
How you doing?
So cool. I'm great. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, it's so great to have you. It's so great to see you.
So good to be seen by you.
So before you joined us, I did let everyone know that you are actor and director. And
thank y'all.
Of course, stunning human being, but, we know that part. But if you could just kind of break that down for us. So for you, actor and director means?
It means I'm primarily a performer, and I've recently expanded my package to directing because I realized that being a good actor made me a pretty decent director. So that's basically it.
It's one of those things, for people like you and me and so many of the people that we have as mutual friends, when we start listing off all of the things that we do, right? It's like, just even like my title is for ETC is epic long, but I could go on a list of things for you, playwright, teacher,
right,
extraordinary acting coach, and life coach and advice giver and all of the things. It's
quarantine baker.
Yeah. And as someone who's gluten-free, as you know, I sit and I look at the things that you've baked, and I'm like, but can you make it for me? Like,
I got you. I'm gonna make that my next venture, gluten-free.
Yes,
I got you.
Yes. So for those of people who are joining us who do not know you, if you could just give us a little bit of your background. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school?
Yeah, okay. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm really from there because I don't pronounce either of the T's. Atlanta, Georgia. I was actually really, 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 really lucky. I went to a performing arts elementary school, and I went to a performing arts high school. Actually, I really, really wanted to go to the school for the gifted. And it was a lottery. And my mom was like, well, if you don't get the lottery for that, I guess you can go to the performing arts school. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, it was like a consolation prize, right? But then I just kind of thrived there. And I went to performing arts high school. And then I went to CCM, go Bearcats, UC, and got my BFA in dramatic performance at the time it was called. And then I moved to New York for 12 years and did all the things that I could. And I did quite a bit, if I'm not, if I'm just being honest. I did a lot, and I'm grateful for my time there. And eventually opportunities brought me back to Cincinnati in 2012, I believe, permanently. And I've been here ever since.
We are so lucky to have you. I know everyone who has had the chance to work with you would definitely agree with me. And if they don't, they can come see me. I'm just saying, as someone who's had the extreme fortune to work with you, it's always an absolute honor. So what brought you got back to Cincinnati. So then what brought you to what brought you to ETC?
Well, ETC has been on my radar for the longest time. I saw a couple of shows there when I was in college. And I was like, wow, this is such, I didn't know what regional theater was. I was like, this looks like Broadway. This is so nice. And then I came back to ETC to do a one-off production of my one-woman show called Your Negro Tour Guide, based off of a series of columns written by Kathy Y. Wilson. And Jeff Griffin and I kind of adapted a solo performance from that. And we toured it, a bunch of festivals, university circuit. We did that show anywhere that would give us a stage. And Kathy took a vested interest in ensemble theater and was like, I want you to do it there. And we bugged Lynn to death. And she finally was like, you know what, let's do it. And so we kind of ran together with Thurgood on the off nights, and I was able to do your Negro Tour guide there. And after that, Lynn was like, I'm going to bring you back to be on our stage for real. And I was like, awesome. And then she did. And the rest was history. Then she can't get rid of me.
What was that? What was the show that
so the first show that I was in at ETC was Alice in Wonderland, which was such a struggle because I was an acting student. And so I spent years trying to figure out what's my motivation and what's my driving force and what do I want? And you're playing a March Hare, which is basically a colorful bunny on wheels. And I couldn't. And poor Lynn, I was like, she's never going to ask me to work here again because I just could not loosen up. And finally, she just said it for the 19th time, just have fun. And I'd never done children's theater before, but I did it and I had a lot of fun. And I've actually done quite a few holiday shows since then as well.
Yeah, I think, we've got some amazing photos of you around the building from Cinderella as one of the stepsisters.
Cinderella. Yes, the stepsisters. That was so much fun. Oh. Those costumes were ridiculous. I think Sarah and I at one point were in competition to see who could just look the strangest. I don't know who the winner was, but we both gave it a valiant effort.
It has been so much fun to, with having Darnell on here, looking at him playing that same role in Alice in Wonderland, and just looking back at some of the past holiday shows. They're just, they're always so colorful and fun, but they really are just such a feast for the eyes, even in retrospect.
Yes, lots of colors. I love it.
So you said that you saw shows when you were at CCM.
Yes. One of the first shows I saw at ETC was a show called String of Pearls, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know any of these actors, and I know all of them now, but I believe Dale Hodges was in it, Annie Fitzpatrick, Sherman was in it, and Zena Camlin. And I was just in awe of the talent that was just right here in Cincinnati, and it was a really good play. It was a great production. And I know all those ladies very well now. And I didn't think I would at the time. I was like, oh my God, they're such great actresses. And now we've worked together. I've worked with all four of them. So that was fun.
God, it's fun how, just twists and turns of fate.
Yeah. Circle. Yeah. It was great.
So after the holiday shows, and it looks like we actually just lost Torie for a second. So while we're gaining her back, I will have to tell you all, I have had the pleasure of working with Torie several times. There she is. Okay. I was going to talk about you, but I'll save it. Oh, wait.
Sorry.
I'm not going to talk about you behind your back. I wasn't going to do it at all. I swear.
I hope that you didn't catch the swear words that happened.
No, I mean, honestly, I think one of the great things about things like this, one of the things that I have found that I really love about doing these Meet the Artists each week is it's live. Mm-hmm. It's live. It is
live theater, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly, right? It's anything is going up on a line or missing an entrance or wearing the wrong costume or, just any of the 1,000 things that we've all done at some point in our careers as performers. So it's live. Things happen. So after the holiday shows, and I am going to get back to, for those of you who are watching, I am going to get back to my story about Torie. We'll just have to wait a minute.
Okay.
After the holiday shows, you started performing with us pretty regularly. And I think one of the first times that the Cincinnati audiences really got to get used to you on our stage was Mountaintop.
Yes. It's still one of my favorite shows that I've done there. It was just such an honor. To be a part of a small cast is one thing, but when there's just two people on stage and the story is so powerful, it's like you have the audience just in the palm of your hands. That was just such a great experience playing Camé. I really enjoyed it.
And oh gosh, it's been such a blessing to be able to look back at some of these.
I know.
You saying, doing a two-person show and having everybody there in the palm of your hand, you really have such a deft hand at solo performances. But as you and I have talked, His Eyes on the Sparrow was not a solo performance.
No.
As much as we, talk about it being a one-woman show, you
Mm-mm.
had the most incredible collaborator on that piece.
Scott Woolley was so instrumental in the development of this show from start to finish. This was a two-person show in my mind. I might have been the one doing all of the singing and all of the talking, but he had my back. This show was very, very challenging for me. And there were just some nights where he saved me. There were nights where I was having vocal distress and he would help me reconfigure some of the some of the chords in the music to make sure that I could get through the show that night. He would encourage me when I was saying wrong lyrics. He would bring the song back to where it was supposed to be. I do believe one night I went up and he actually fed me a line as if he were just talking to me and he knew that I'd be able to improv and make it seem like it was a part of the show. He absolutely said it out loud and I was like, oh yes, I remember that. And then I just kept talking like I didn't just totally go up on a line. We were in that show together and it was, I'm so glad I got a chance to do that with him while he was still with us.
I know.
A great memory.
I swore I was not gonna cry. No, we were gonna.
I'm not.
Scott, but
I spent too much time on this eye makeup, and Scott would understand that.
Right?
I can't do it.
I know that's what would be like. Get it together.
Exactly.
Get me to
Yeah, snap out of it, girl.
Yep.
I can hear him. I can hear him saying it.
But that show, just as we're looking at some of the photos of it, it was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And the work that you did in portraying Ethel Waters through the course of her life, it was incredible.
Thank you.
And that experience, just being able to sit in the audience, not just opening night, but I was fortunate enough to see it several times throughout the run of the show. And, you embodied so much of the incredible things that we love so much when we think about Ethel Waters. And, Larry Parr's script is not necessarily the easiest one to navigate, but you did it.
We worked with it though. We did. And and Lynn would always say, it's our job to create this story for our stage. It's our job to create our production of it. Like we had to kind of make it ours. And I think too, I just have to say that it really, really means a lot to me. And I know, I've done a lot of solo performance. I don't know why. It's so hard. I don't know why I find myself doing it all the time. I would much rather be on stage with other people. But I think it's important to note that to be trusted with an entire audience of patrons, for an artistic director to say, you know what, Torie Wiggins can carry this show. She can do 8 shows a week for however many weeks, and she can pull this off. That means the world to me. So I just feel honored and privileged to have been able to even have that opportunity, because it just says a lot about how much trust that Lynn and everyone had in me. So
yeah, well, you pulled it off.
Barely, but thank you.
Yes, but really, really beautifully. It was just, truly. So when you and I were talking leading up to this, and I asked you your favorite show at ETC, and you kind of got one all around the place, and just the different ones.
Because I have 7 favorite shows.
But I think the one that you mentioned that really, I know it holds a special place in Lynn's heart, is Violet.
I think that's the one we landed on. Oh, Violet! I loved Violet. Oh my gosh. I mean, up until, I will say, every show that you do, even if you love the show, even if you like the script, I think by the time you get to week 5 or week 4, you're kind of like, okay, we can be done with this. I will say Violet is probably one of the few shows that I can honestly say I could have kept running. Mm-hmm. The rehearsal process was amazing. Every show was great. The audience was consistently engaged with us. I got to play a bunch of different roles, which was awesome. I loved that show. I see why Lynn loves it so much. It's great. It's a good show.
Yeah, it's one of those pieces that just really hits home to so many people for so many different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I did mention at the top that you are a actor and director, but I would be remiss if I did not mention that you are an incredible teacher.
Thank you. Thank you.
I got to, and I think I sprung it on you earlier this week. So the very first time I knew that you taught, I knew that you taught, and you and we knew each other socially. But the very first time that you and I ever saw each other teach, we were thrown into teaching. We got to the school, we were teaching pre-show workshops, and I remember it so vividly now. The classroom teacher said, "Oh, great, we combined the classes." And we looked at each other. We're like,
"We're doing this.
We're doing this on the fly."
That was fun.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of improv, but that was really fun.
And it really, it really solidified to me that you can, well, one, it reaffirmed my teaching, to be teaching alongside with you. But it really affirmed with me just that I know that I can trust you to teach pretty much anything, and you will do incredible. And you have some students who are watching right now.
I probably have some students out there. Yeah. I think at least one. Here's some teacher of life, Maya. That's well now. My husband might disagree with that. Hi, Jay. Wow, look at that. Yeah, you know what, Lauren? I will always be an educator, even if it is not my trade at the moment or my job. I will always be an educator. I will always be a teacher, no matter what. Whether I have the title or not, it's in me. And it's because I had such great teachers, to be honest. I really, really have been pretty lucky to have some really great teachers.
Well, and last summer, we got you to join us for ETC Summer Stock, our summer camp.
It was fun.
It was such a... Yeah, and truly for me, being able to come into the room and just sit back and be a fly on the wall and watch you teach these high school kids things that they wouldn't have the opportunity to learn until they reached a collegiate level. And that's one of the things that we try so hard and we really focus on with our summer camps, that they're intensive. We really are training actors. I
was teaching them things that I taught my adult students, and they took to it. They took to it so easily and so well. It was easy to teach them because they were so eager to learn it. I didn't have to baby talk them at all. We were learning some real honest to goodness actor stuff.
Oh, absolutely. For anyone who has joined us, my name is Lauren Carr, and I'm the Director of Education, Engagement, and Inclusion at Ensemble Theater Cincinnati. And tonight I am joined on ETC's Meet the Artist with Torie Wiggins, actor and director. If you do have any questions for Torie, you can go ahead and type those in the comment box, and we will definitely address those and answer your questions right here live on air.
Awesome.
So, we've talked about your acting, your directing. The first piece that I remember seeing with your name listed as the director was a couple years ago during the Fringe Festival. Jim Hopkins' one-man show, White Privilege.
Yes.
That show has stuck with me. Jim Hopkins' performance has stuck with me. Your direction has stuck with me. Can you just give us a little bit? Fringe is its own beast, right?
Right.
So what was it? I think it's, going back to you saying, you perform a lot of one-woman shows. So directing a solo performance, what is that?
I think it's one of the reasons why Jim asked me to come in on that project is because I had done a lot of one-person shows. I mean, at some point it was just kind of like a niche, and I think he really wanted. I think he just really valued my opinion on the subject matter, and we had some really intense like talks about this show and what he wanted it to be. And so it really just became like this experience. It was so much more than a show because we were both learning things about each other. We were both learning things about the play. We were constantly changing things, changing language. I have a lot of respect for Jim for doing that show, and I'm very grateful and honored that he trusted me with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, a one-person show anytime is a feat, but Fringe, there's just this whole other layer of pressure, and just not knowing when the schedule is going to be. And this year they're moving everything online. Right. I was talking to the people who are working on Hive Mind recently, and just the work that is going into making it all digital and making sure that the audience is still going to receive the same sort of a similar experience as they would. It's just a little daunting.
And we have to adjust. That's what live theater is all about. We have to adjust. That's
so what we do. Just this past year, you directed Proof with ETC's Katie Mitchell.
Yes, Katie's amazing. That whole cast was amazing.
And then what else have you done? I know that you've directed so many things.
Not that many. It's pretty new to me. I've directed, I was a teacher at Miami University, so I directed a couple of shows there. I directed some staged readings, but as far as full productions, I directed Dreamgirls at the Carnegie, Proof at the Carnegie as well, and then I directed Blues for an Alabama Sky at Falcon Theater.
And I think one of my favorite things that you and I have talked about that you worked on was She Persisted.
Yes. I do some private coaching from time to time. And one of my clients, Grace Kale, wanted to do a show. Grace is differently able. She uses a wheelchair. And I was just blessed enough to be at a meeting where she had kind of her personal community come together and help her figure out like what her specific goals were in life. And one of the things that she really ended up wanting to do was to do her own show. She had seen me do a couple of one-woman shows at this point. And so who better than to try to navigate that with her? And we chose a topic that was really close to her. She's really, really big on women empowerment and women in history who have done great things. So we, along with her mom, we created a show called She Persisted, and she performed it at the No Theater back in December. And it was really, really, really great. It was a great experience, and I couldn't be prouder. It's one of the things I'm the most proud of in my life. I'm very happy she got a chance to do that.
Well, and she's also an ETC subscriber, so she's part of our ensemble.
She's our community.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we have a question from Amy.
Okay.
Amy has asked, do you have a dream show or role? That's two parts. That's a two-part.
A dream show or role. Okay. I would. Okay. I might have aged out of. I've aged out of that. I'm not going to say that.
My list is long of that.
But some of them I need to just mourn the lost. I mean, life goes on. Clearly, I'm not playing Beneatha in A Raisin in the Sun anymore.
Yeah, those are the roles we now direct.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so dream show. I've always wanted to do Little Shop of Horrors. I've always wanted to be one of the urchins. I have never gotten a chance to do it. I might be a little old, long in the tooth now, but with the right contouring and highlight from a stage distance, we might be able to make that happen because I love it. Let's see. I would love to play Mama Yurley in Once on This Island. Just sits perfectly in my voice. I realize I've named 2 musicals now, so let me think of a play. You know what? I would love to play the lead woman in American Son.
Oh, yeah.
I would love a shot at that role. Kerry Washington did it on Broadway.
Uh-huh.
So I think I could do it without the lip quiver. I would try. It would be a challenge. No shade. Carrie is amazing. She is amazing, but I can't. I don't think I can do that.
I'm sitting here trying to keep it together. I not cry about Scott. Do not all of
I
you
mean, tell the truth.
if you have any questions for Torie, she is here and she is on the spot, so she can actually not get away with not answering them. So I see you, DeAndre. I see you, Sean Michael Flowers. If you do have something that you would like to ask for Torie, hey there, Maya. She is here and in person.
I am. Listen, don't sneak into my DMs later. I don't want any messenger requests talking about, I didn't want to ask you this live, but this is your chance.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But really, yes, come chat with me. Ask me things.
Well, and it's been fun. I love following you on social media. I've seen some of your sorority sisters commenting on here too. So I know that is a big part of your life. And so it's been really fun to see, you over the years, with them and all of the reunions and amazing things.
And they're so supportive. They're, my sorority sisters are in the audience for every single show. So, they're a big part of my life here. So that's amazing. That's great.
Ariel has asked a question. Hey, Ariel.
Hi, Ariel.
So much. Oh my goodness. What is your favorite musical and play?
Ooh. Okay. My favorite play has to be Fences by August Wilson. And Blues for an Alabama Sky is a close second, a very close second. And I've had I don't even know what to say, the blessing of being a part of both of those shows in my lifetime. My favorite musical is Once on This Island.
Let's see. I actually got to see you do Fences, and you're a force.
Thank you.
Per always, per usual.
Thank you.
Gosh. Katie, our own Katie Mitchell, would like to know, what is the most moving performance that you have watched as an audience member? That's a great question, Katie.
That's a great question, Katie. The most moving performance I've ever watched as an audience member. I will tell you, and Katie, I'm glad you asked me that, because this is the reason why I decided to become an actor. When I was 14 years old, I went to the Alliance Theater in Atlanta, Georgia, and I saw a production of Medea, starring Felicia Rashad as Medea. And the last scene with the children and the sobbing, I didn't know people could do that. You see it on TV and you're young, I think, they paused the camera to prick them with a needle so they could cry. I don't know what acting is. And we got to do a talk back with Felicia Rashad after that. And she was like, fine. I mean, she literally left it all out on the stage, raw, uncut. And afterwards she was just like, hey y'all, how you doing? And I was like, what just happened? It's the first time I've ever cried in a play. I didn't know that I could cry from live performance. I'll never forget that. And I decided that day, I want to do that. I want to learn how to do that. That's the one.
We have a question from Kayla, which, I feel like anyone who knows you might be able to answer, but it is random question. What's your favorite food, Torie?
Now, Kayla, you should know this. It's bacon.
Bacon!
It's bacon. It was literally in my wedding vows. I love bacon. Even when I was a vegan, I just would smell it sometimes. Just take a little taste.
And you're kills me. So Sean Michael is asking, how are you staying creative and artistically alive during this time?
Ooh, that's a great question. I am finding creativity. First of all, hi, Sean Michael Flowers. I love you. I'm finding creativity in other things. My life is so full of art all the time that sometimes I forget that it lives in other things. So I'm like arts and craftsing, I'm baking. I'm also writing a little bit, which I don't know if people knew that about me, that I write sometimes. So I've been doing a little bit of writing, and that's been really interesting because I've never considered myself to be a playwright, but apparently I got a little something to say. So that's been really cool to discover that part of me.
And you wrote a 10-minute play for a series that we did earlier this year. It's hard
Yes,
to
I
believe
did.
that was actually this calendar year.
Yes,
That was just a few months ago.
it was.
But wrote a beautiful 10-minute play about justice that was just heart-wrenchingly honest.
Thank you.
So they may not know, but I have witnessed your incredible writing, and it's very, very moving.
It's fun to explore that. It really is.
So let's see. We have a question from Charisse. Charisse is asking, I know you've been in the business a long time, but which actors inspired you growing up?
It's a great question. I've always loved Felicia Rashad. And when I discovered that her background was in theater, I loved her even more because, of course, I was introduced to her on The Cosby Show. But she's always been one of my favorites. There is an African-American actress, Alfre Woodard. She does not get the shine she deserves at all. And I've been watching her since I was young in movies, and she's done some stage stuff as well. And there's so many others, but those are probably two of the main ones that were like, I want to make. And Winona Ryder. Can I just be honest and tell you that I was obsessed with Winona Ryder as a teenager? She also was one that made me like, I want to do that. Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael. I know all the lines.
Okay.
Fun fact.
If someone had literally bet me, I never would have said Winona Ryder for you, but I love that.
Well, what's the point of this if you can't find out some stuff you don't know about me, right? I'm obsessed. I have pages in my diary where I'm like, I want to meet Winona Ryder so badly. I want her to teach me how to act, like actual, like multiple pages in my diary about this.
Well, and I can only imagine if your diary looks anything like your epic journal or planner.
I am a planner. I do love my planning. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been thinking about you with that. I'm like, how many planners do you have now? And like, what are you doing with them? And how are you doing? Just crack me up.
My recipes are in a recipe planner.
They're amazing.
Thank you.
Maya has asked, what's your favorite memory from living in New York?
Oh, New York. My favorite, I would love Maya to tell you that my favorite memory was getting together with all my actor friends and like trading monologues in our living rooms with cardboard boxes and crates to sit on, but that's just not the truth. My favorite memory of living in New York was being able to figure out who I was outside of my career. I knew exactly what I wanted my career to be, and I set off on that path in New York. And I was very lucky because I got an agent right away, and I was able to start auditioning. But I very quickly learned that I would lose myself if that's all I had. So I joined a church there. I started a knitting group, knitting and crocheting group. We were called Yarn for More, and we met every month in the village at this knitting coffee shop, and it was okay. So those people that helped me shape my life so that my livelihood wouldn't just be about rejection and the roles I didn't get is my favorite part of being New York. That I miss that. I love that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ray has asked, do you prefer comedic or dramatic? There goes my comedic. Dramatic or comedic?
I love dramatic roles, actually. Dramatic roles. I'm actually kind of serious. Like I love a comedic role that has like a slight little serious arc so that I can just have a moment instead of having to be like bogged down with realness the whole time and like crying and stuff. No, I love comedic roles. I think that's where I'm the most comfortable. I like finding punchlines, and which is why The Stepsisters was so fun, because just finding ways outside of the lines to just do things. Most of the time I would just try to make Darnell laugh on stage though. Sorry, Lynn.
But comedy is so hard. I mean, it really is. We look at these dramatic performances and it's like, oh my gosh, there must be so much. But getting that timing just right on a comedy, there's nothing like it.
There's nothing like it. And the audience will let you know immediately if you got it right.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I know the feeling of a fallen punchline. Trust me.
Oh, yeah.
I know it.
Yeah, when you
Not
just
fun.
hear nothing. It's
Yeah. Fun fact, I tried stand-up comedy for a millisecond in New York.
Ooh.
And I did. I was terrible. I am a comedic actress. I am not a comedian by any means. That is hard work. It is a different skill set. Learn from my mistakes. That's all I'm going to say. It was not good.
So we have a great question about what you could see yourself doing otherwise. So the question is, does everyone know how great of a baker you are? And besides the arts or teaching, what other career could you see yourself doing?
That's my cousin Lynn. Hi, Lynn. Wow. It's funny that you should say that because I did run a baking business out of my apartment for 2 years in Brooklyn. It was called South in the City. And it was literally how I paid my bills when I was in between unemployment gigs and like voiceover gigs and whenever else I was broke. I could also see myself hosting a talk show. And I actually wouldn't want to bake for a living anymore. That was really, really hard. I'd much rather just do it and give it away for now. But I could see myself hosting a talk show. That's kind of still in the arts, but I think that's something else I wouldn't mind doing.
If you had told me 2 months ago that every week I would come onto the internet live and artists, I would have said that you were completely crazy. And it is
You're doing great.
Thank you. It has become an absolute highlight of my week.
Love it.
And it's one of the things that I've actually talked about. I'm like, well, if all else fails, I'm just going to have
totally do it. You could totally do it. Totally.
Just in kind of wrapping up, we have a lot of questions about your writing process and about that 10-minute play.
Okay.
If you could just tell us a little bit about the play that you wrote, the inspiration behind it, and the process that you took in getting there. Because I feel like as relevant and pertinent as that play was when we performed it earlier this year, unfortunate circumstances that have continued and continued and continued, that makes that piece just so even more relevant now.
Yeah. So the theme for the evening was justice. And I wrote a play about a young boy who had been gunned down by the police and he ended up being the wrong suspect. I wanted to add an element to it that made it seem a little bit unreal, even though I really wanted to juxtapose something that happens in reality with some like a little bit of science fiction-y kind of paranormal idea. And the reason why I chose to do that is because I was really overcome with this concept of invisibility and how sometimes African-American men in general are rendered invisible if they're not who the media says they are. You know, those of us who aren't as awakened, we know who the media tells us they are. We don't know that they're scientists and, gamers and nerds and bakers and all kinds of things. And so I really wanted to play with the idea of invisibility. So in this particular play, the young man is kind of wandering around in the neighborhood and one of his neighbors doesn't recognize him. And they've been living kind of on the same block for years. And as it turns out, she's the only one who can see him because he's just been killed and she can hear his mother crying in the distance. And a police officer comes over and explains to her that it was a mistake that he was killed. But he shouldn't have been wandering around in the first place or something like that. And then the neighbor gets it. And she asks at the end, why did you come here? Why did you come up to me? And the last line of the play is, I just wanted to know if you could see me. So I had the last line of the play before I even wrote the play because I just really wanted to explore that concept of how we are seen and how much that has to do with this unwarranted fear and things like that. And I was just kind of playing around to kind of answer the question about my process. I definitely, there's always like something I want someone to say. that drives the whole piece. So I knew that I wanted a young Black man to say, I want you to see me, and just kind of wrote around it from there and figured out what I wanted the story to be and everything from there. So, and it was a 10-minute piece. It wasn't a fully realized play. So that helped to kind of reel me in, but.
Yeah, but it, you know, a lot of times, you know, it's one of the things that I tell my students so often is putting those restrictions on it. So putting that time limit on the play, you know, really can allow for the imagination to just go. And you were able to put so much into just that short amount of text and short amount of time. I mean, it was so powerful and so extremely relevant and important. And I love that you are always, you never shy from the conversations that need to be had. They need to be had. And it's one of the things that I just always, you know, truly admire about you is your fearlessness.
Thank you. I wish that were always true, but I'm glad it seems that way. I will keep trying. I will.
Hey, you're an actor. You just gotta pretend sometimes.
Well, you know, sometimes you gotta fake it till you make it, right?
Oh, yeah, yes. As I am here live interviewing right now.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to take one last question from our viewers. Thank you, everyone, for your amazing comments. Lisa has asked, I cannot speak tonight.
You're doing fine. I actually accidentally logged out, so you're still doing better than me.
Oh, good. And I think this one's a great way for us to wrap up tonight's conversation.
Okay.
Favorite piece of acting advice you've ever received or life lesson learned on stage?
Ooh. This is going to sound cheesy, but you really have to know who you are to be a good actor. You have to do your self-work first. Then you can explore other people, because believe it or not, acting may be therapeutic for some people, but it's not therapy. You're not going to find things that you're missing in roles and in scripts. Knowing the human condition and being emotionally intelligent is what empowers you to make bold choices as an actor. It's what allows you to connect to other people on stage and in imaginary worlds to create real relationships. You have to know these things. I tell my students all the time, emotional intelligence is important for the actor. You have to be able to articulate who you are and how you feel so that you can meet these characters where they are, not rediscover them and, you know, reinvent the wheel every time you take on a role. So I hope I explained that well, but you just really need to know who you are. And I'm saying that because I learned that the hard way. And I'm still learning that. So, but that's important. That's very important.
Oh, Torie, it has been just an absolute honor to talk with you tonight. For those of you who did ask, when is there a way for you to see that 10-minute play? Stay tuned. Stay tuned with Ensemble Theater Cincinnati. You never know what tricks we may have up our sleeves. Jared Doran at the helm and getting that project underway, and just you never know. You never know what we may be putting out there. Torie, I have to thank you so much. This is an absolute honor to talk with you.
Thank you.
Just been wonderful. So
I have to tell you, my mom and dad want to know when I'm doing another one-woman show. Never. They're exhausting and I'm too old. I love you, Mom and Dad. Okay. I had to. I would never hear the end of that if I didn't get to that. Okay. I love you guys.
So next week, we are going to take a totally different turn. So this week we have an incredible actor and director. Next week we have Matt Callahan, who is our resident sound designer. So you may not have seen his face. He does not live in Cincinnati, but we are so excited that he will be joining us. You have definitely heard his work. He is an incredible sound designer that
he is great.
So blessed to have. So come back, join us next week. Yeah. Where we will talk some more with some incredible artists. Again, Torie, love you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. I love you.
Have a good night, everyone. Stay sane.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.